What's up? This is Theodore Helverveer, aka Big Teddy. And if you don't know, this is actually a super dope and really special week. This week is a lot of special hashtags going on. So if you're checking out the show, if you're enjoying the show, if you like it, you love it, head on over to whatever your social media is, your IG, your Twitter, tweet about it. Let people know. I'm going to use the hashtag tripod because we're trying to get people aware of the information and just let them know what's out there and just get them to try and enjoy new experiences. The other one that I'm particularly proud about is this is also Black Podcast Week. So we're supporting just men and women of color, Black and African American, men and women of color who are out here doing this podcasting thing, trying to provide lots of different new information and awarenesses and all of that dope shit for us as a community and as a people. So it's much appreciated if you want to go out there and hashtag for those things. So what we are talking about today, what we are talking about this week, this Friday, and I apologize for this episode being a little late, just jumped into a new place. So things got shaken up a little bit, but I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm glad you're here with me. So what this episode is about is the power of purpose. And the power of purpose is a very deep, very important, and very fundamental thing and process for our lives. And this is not just me, and it plays a major role in my life, but for all of us, and just so you understand the basis for this conversation that we're getting ready to have, I've been talking life into people. I've been trying to help people via conversations for a long time, way before the podcast, way before the book. This is not something that I do this is not just about making a living. This is not just about, a brand. This is what I really believe in. This really matters to me. I really want to help people, and I've always really wanted to help people. And it's so funny because this process actually started a lot, not just normal conversations, but drunk conversations. I remember I was in Soho, and I was at a bar, and I'm outside having a cigarette, because it's like, a joke from a TV show years ago was that cigarette and alcohols go together like pouring in nachos. But anyway, I digress, right? So I'm having a couple drinks, and because I'm having a couple drinks, I go outside to have a smoke. And I'm doing my favorite thing at the time, and this is back in 2010, maybe 2011, I'm having drunk conversations. And so I'm talking to this person, to these people, about this organization that I'm setting up and I'm building, and all of the people that are signing on, and all the people that come to me for direction. And in a very serious way, it was kind of to shoot me down, like take the stuffing, but it was a real question. And this guy says to me, so what's so special about you, and what's so different about you that people come to you, that people listen to you? What can you give them that no one else is giving them? And I got real serious and real sober for a minute, and I looked him in his face and I said, purpose. Just like that. And it kind of floored him, because I think he didn't think that I had a real answer for his question. He thought that I was just boasting and speaking about things that I didn't sincerely mean. But that was the first and beginning stages of me really transitioning out of not having a purpose in life and coming in to my purpose in life and taking responsibility for it and really latching onto it. And that was a very important time for me, and phase and transition and moment of growth. Because I'll tell you sincerely, I can tell you very clearly who I was without purpose, and what I was without purpose, and what the hallmark in my life was. And I'm telling you, I didn't really have or find a purpose or my purpose in life until I was about 20. And everything before that was a very hard time, and it was a very dark time, and I went through a lot of things. And something I talk about it again in the book, as I often say, is growing up, even with the good, strong, positive influences that I had, and the background that I have, and the things that I came from, no one had ever really taught me that I was supposed to have a purpose. no one had taught me, like, life brings this and life brings that, but life should be about this and life should be about that, and you should want to do these things. It was never really conversations like that. It was always stuff like, do this and do that, and you have to do this so you won't be that. And the thing about when you're having conversations, when there's an age gap, respect is only expected to go one way. So a lot of times when people are older than you in a given situation, they don't really talk to you, they talk at you. And even deeper than that, they don't always necessarily have answers for your questions, because there are so many people that give advice and give ultimatums and give rules and give demands for how another person should live their life, especially when it comes to their children. But they've done these things because someone else told them to do them. And it wasn't okay for them to ask the questions when they were that age. So they still don't know. They haven't always figured it out for themselves. They've built these lives that they're not happy with and they don't feel good about on what they were told to do, because it's just the way things work and it's just what people do, and they pass that mindset and that energy on to another generation. And so I'm very fortunate for the people I've had in my life that wanted more from me than that. I'm very fortunate that even though I didn't find them until later in life, I found people and influencers that helped to shape me and train me and groom me into becoming this person. And it's not like they put me together piece by piece, but they helped me find my way so that I could find myself. And that too is part of why I do what I do, to help other people find that, no matter what age they are at or where they're at in life, because it matters and it's important, and you can go your whole life with no one ever asking you or helping you find your way towards what is your purpose, what is your reason, okay? And when I had a life without purpose, I didn't have a life. I was existing simply for the sake of survival. And there was a hole in me on many levels. And I was very empty. And I was full of so many dark and negative things. I was full of so much apathy and so much self-hate and so much loneliness and fear and loathing. I lived in a constant state where I wanted to die all the time. And I would flirt with death very heavily and very seriously. I would randomly walk into traffic just to see if cars would hit me. And I was never afraid because I wanted it, And there was this saying that I used to think of all the time. They say when you're afraid of death and when you run from it, it chases you. When you chase death, it's nowhere to be found. And I used to chase death very heavily in my youth, and suicide was honestly something I won't even say I struggled with, but it was something that was a part of my daily existence. And I am so thankful and so fortunate that I look back on those experiences and I'm so far from them, but I see things all the time of people who still go through that, and I'm like, wow, I know what it was like to be there. And that makes me fight so much harder to do what I do. Making sure no one else ever has to feel like that or live like that or be in that place is part of my purpose. I've seen this quote before, and it's like the struggle of existence, where you don't want to kill yourself, but you have a very strong desire to die. And something that I talk about, I wanted to talk about it more in the book, but my editor was really afraid of how it would come across. And as a woman of color, from a bit of an older generation of me, I understood that fear, especially in terms of her wanting me to have good sales. But that story is important to tell, and this discussion is important to have, because people go through this and never speak on it. And these are things that we're afraid as people of color to touch on and to own up to and admit to. And so this is why when I tell you guys that it's okay for your battle to be just getting out of bed, it's because I've been there. I've been at that point where existence was so hard that I didn't even want to get out of bed, and I would sleep 12 and 14 and 16-hour days because going to sleep was easier than waking up and struggling to exist with no purpose and no reason. And so again, when I talk to you and my energy's on 100 and it's on 10 and I'm trying to help you find your way and we're talking about doing that and goals and initiatives, I never want you to think or feel like I'm talking about things that I don't understand. Because if you listen to this and if you read the book and if you get to know me and you reach out, then I will help you understand that I've been through all of this. I've lived with all of this and I've lived past these things. I've grown past being molested. I've grown past like heavy drug use and never major drugs, and I'm thankful for that, to numb myself to the pain. I've grown past, like I said, just the apathy and the emptiness. So none of this is ever from a point of holier than thou. This is, I hope that you don't have to suffer as long as I've suffered. This is, let me help you through the struggle so that we can do this together. We can achieve together. We can get better together. This is me saying, I've been in your shoes and I will never judge you for the things that you have done to escape your pain, for the things that you have done to find the strength to exist. This is me saying, I want to do everything in my power to help you learn how to do more than just survive. It's not just a book. It's not just a show. It's not just a slogan. I'm living it. I'm living it. And I still make mistakes. And I still fuck up. And I still strive to learn how to be better every day. How to be my best. How to grow. How to evolve. There is no such place as the top, because when we reach these goals and we reach these hallmarks, there's always room for improvement. There's always ways to do better. There's always ways to achieve more. As long as you want it, as long as you believe you're capable of it. It's not that you're ever going to stop falling or failing. It's not that life is ever going to get easy and you just wake up and shit is effortless. You get better at handling it. You get better at dealing with it, you know? And you get better at not just saying, well, this happened to me, so this is why this is the way it is. I never speak those words as an excuse. I give explanations to help people understand. This is why I sometimes have a hard time doing this. This is why I sometimes have a hard time doing that. But after that explanation, I immediately move into trying to correct, trying to do better, trying to live better, trying to make amends, because my purpose in life, and I'm telling you, what happened at the age of 20 that really changed things for me and really turned my world around was I started to be influenced by all of these different healthy environments and mindsets. And I'm telling you, sometimes when you've lived your entire life in toxicity and you experience healthy and new, it's very hard to believe. It's very hard to believe. And it can even make you resentful, like, why did I have this if this exists and everybody else have this? But I never lived in that place, and God's willing, I'll never live in that place. The mindset that I live in, that I exist in, that I work from is, now that I have this, now that I achieve this, I want to be better at it. I want to do better with it, and I want to help other people have it, right? And so the realization that I had at the age of 20 is that no one was ever going to give to me the world that I deserve to live in. No one was ever going to make it what it was supposed to be for me unless I was the one doing it. No one was going to give me anything. I had to fight for it, right? And then I came to a place, I don't know if it was like a couple weeks later or a month later, but it wasn't super long, but it was processing time. And I made a commitment, and I get very real and very serious about my commitments. And the ones that I go the hardest for are the quiet ones, because I strive so hard to be a person whose words and actions match, a person that the people I care about can believe in and invest in and feel safe with. And like I said, I fuck up, but I live to that commitment. I take it very seriously. And I came to this place where I said, you know what? No matter what I have to do or who I have to become, I am going to create a world where no one like me ever has to exist again. And what did I mean when I said that? Where no one like the person that I had to become in order to create that world would ever have to exist again. And that was just the basis for my purpose. You need a foundation. You need a building point, right? And that was my foundation. That was the beginning of my purpose. I'm going to create a world where no one like me ever has to exist again. Okay? And then we build and we develop over time. And that's a process that we'll talk about and we'll take and we'll go on together. But the first is finding your purpose, you know? And so another quote that I love that really helped me, because I used to struggle a lot with who am I and what am I and why am I here? To know a thing is to know its opposites. Okay, and that was the quote that really stuck with me. And if you wish to know something, you have to know its opposites. And so the way I used to find myself when I was lost and I didn't know who I was or what I was supposed to be or what I wanted to do was I would think to myself, what do you hate? What can't you tolerate? What makes you sick in your stomach, in your soul? Now, how do you never be that? How do you become as far as possible from being that? What tears you apart inside? How do you become better than that? How do you never be that? So the first way that I really learned who I was and what I wanted to be and what mattered to me was by figuring out the things that I hated and the things I never wanted to be and the things that hurt me most and took the most from me in life. And that's really some of the best advice that I can give you out of all the things that we talk about. No matter what age you are, if you're struggling to find yourself in any situation, in any scenario, how do I do better? And you can't figure out how to do better, what do I not want to be? What is the opposite of what I hate? How do I work towards getting there? There are very few things that will ever fuel you, lift you up, support you, carry you through the dark times, like finding a purpose, like latching on to a reason to exist. And I'm so thankful as well for the progression of that purpose and that dream over time. Because it went from just not wanting anyone to ever have to suffer like I've suffered my entire life to how do I do better for my people? How do I do better for my family? What do I care about? And it took me to a place of just trying to save myself to wanting to build and create and establish as many beautiful things as possible to save as many people as possible and help them save and do for themselves. Because pain shared is pain divided, and joy shared is joy multiplied. And I really understood that what was in my heart, part of what was true to me, was never about me. And the reason that I was so empty and so alone and in so much pain for so long is because I craved and I needed kinship. Being surrounded by people doesn't stop you from being alone. And in this evolution, I was fortunate enough to learn to speak and share and live and give my truth. And that is how I started to find and draw the people to me that I needed in my life. You know? And so this is a longer conversation, but the power of purpose is one of the most powerful things that you can implement into your life. And no matter what stage you are at in your progression, no matter how old you are, it is never too late to find your purpose. It is never too late to grow and expand on your purpose. It is never too late to evolve. It is never too late to make amends. It is never too late to commit to doing better. And the best purposes, the realest purposes, the most fulfilling purposes, even if they start out just being about you, they grow into being about so much more than you. I'm going to tell you, I'm not perfect. I'm so far from it. And I acknowledge that as much as I try and work on it. And one thing that I'm really proud of and thankful for when it comes to my purpose is no matter how I feel about how my people do me in the process of us trying to get better as a people, I will never stop doing right by them because my purpose is bigger than how I feel as an individual. And I'm really going to cut this up. I'm into this conversation, but I try and keep it in a certain time block. But as always, we're going to keep having these conversations. We're going to keep building together. We're going to keep working on improving and changing and growing and evolving and reaching all our goals and all our dreams. No matter how much we fuck up, no matter how much we fail, I'm not giving up. And I'm not going to let you give up. We will keep this together until we become what we need to be, until we get where we're trying to go. Together. Daily, weekly, monthly. I'm here and we will not stop doing this. Bless up. I'll holler at you soon, family. Thank you for coming back. I'll see you next week. Don't forget, Tripod, #Tripod. If you're liking the show, if you're loving the show, if you're enjoying it, if you're taking positive things from it, tweet it. Hit us on that IG, Tripod. You can follow us on Twitter at HOH_LLC. You can follow us on IG at HOH_LLC. Show some love. We're glad to know that. Thank you, Mexico, for joining us and becoming a part of the process. Shout outs to India, Kazakhstan, the Philippines, NZ, Australia, the States, everybody that's tuning in. We love you. We appreciate it. Thank you. Keep coming back. We'll holler at you.